So there he is, the little tinker. After all his big talk throughout the 1930s and for most of the 1940s, or the early part of the 1940s, Hitler, as the cartoonist shows, has to eat his words, because Germany ended up being defeated. A year after D-Day, Germany still managed to hold out, basically because Hitler refuses to surrender, even though logic and good sense would suggest that that would be a good idea. Eventually, he commits suicide when Berlin is surrounded. So, what happens? The Allies start to apply extra pressure on the Germans. German industrial cities are bombed. They were bombed throughout the early part of the war, but this bombing campaign is stepped up. The Battle of the Atlantic is won. Resistance groups, which start to gain confidence across Europe because of the demise of Germany, are supported. The Allies increase their, or are able to increase their production, partly because the Battle of the Atlantic is won, and also partly because the machinery that the infrastructure that enables production is just becoming better and better all the time, and this is especially true in the USA. Thereafter, Hitler is assassinated. Well, he's not assassinated, but a group of experienced officers start to plan to assassinate Hitler. They recognise that Germany are defeated and therefore they need to surrender. These experienced officers want to surrender, and so in order to make this happen, in order to facilitate this, they plan to bomb at a meeting where Hitler is going to be on the 20th of July 1944. Yes. Sorry, I had to check that in for a moment. Hitler, after this bombing, is injured, but he is not killed. But Hitler is so paranoid by this event that he actually purges the top brass of the army. Obviously, some of the people involved are experienced officers, and he finds them, and he finds this to be the case. He then sets about killing a number of other experienced officers who had nothing to do with this. If you take an army that's already weak and you get rid of those people who are experienced officers in that army, you're going to further weaken your army. Next up comes Operation Market Garden. Germany, although they are essentially retreating the entire time, they do manage to fight a couple of very successful rearguard actions. So in a place called Arnhem, which is in Holland, in September 1944, an operation is launched called Operation Market Garden, which is designed to liberate Holland from the Germans. It's a massive failure. The British are in charge of this, incidentally. Montgomery is in charge of this, and 7,000 soldiers end up losing their lives in a very short space of time. Another thing that the Germans do, another campaign that the Germans launch, has since been referred to as the Battle of the Bulge. It's a last gasp attack against the Allies, who are by now advancing across France and into Germany. It takes place in the winter between December 1944 and January 1945. I'll give you another film recommendation. Go watch Band of Brothers. There's a few episodes about something called the Bastogne, which is a place that was affected by the Battle of the Bulge. And again, it gives you a good indication of the sorts of things that might have happened. Initially, it was a big German success, hence the name of the conflict. It was the Battle of the Bulge, because the Allied lines bulged backwards. But ultimately, it was a failure. Yet again, the German army overexerted themselves, and the Americans and the Allies had such overwhelming numbers of tanks and soldiers and so on that they were able to fight back successfully. This ultimate failure signalled the beginning of pretty much an all-out German retreat, which led everybody to Berlin. So first of all, Berlin was heavily bombed for a long period of time leading up to the eventual German surrender, and the Allies start a race to the capital. However, the cautious Americans and the British hold back, and they are quite happy in the end to let the Soviets, the Russians, capture the city. It's a devastating tale, lots and lots of people killed, lots and lots of very terrible crimes are committed as Berlin is capitulating. But still Hitler refuses to surrender until eventually he realises it's too late and he commits suicide. Very shortly thereafter, Germany surrender and World War II is won by the Allies. Thank you very much.